working and
There are just 3 races remaining on the Busch Grand National schedule, and it looks like the battle for the championship will go right down to the wire at the last race at Martinsville, Virginia at the end of this night.
It's been a great battle for the fans, the spectators, and for the drivers themselves. Now, speaking of points, there are points of interest on the Caribbean cruise. You like how I got into that?
Yeah, that's good.
Anyways, you can go to Caracas, Barbados, St. Thomas. It's beautiful. We've seen part of it on the shows we've had in the previous weeks. Now, we're going to give you rules as to how you can get into this and win this great trip in just a few minutes.
Well, now that sounds exciting, but the All-Pro Auto Parts 300 was exciting too. Randy Boland has the highlights.
You know, you never give up. The checkered flag at Martinsville is when I finally give up, whether we're leading in the points or we end up second or third. That's when I'm going to give up. That's the end of the season.
I definitely can't go out there and, you know, take it easy and hopefully, you know, just lay back and stroke or whatever you want to call it. I can't do that.
It's never over till it's over mathematically, and obviously we're still in it, but they're going to have about a month of sleepless nights. They'll find out things about running for championships that they've never known before.
Thus sounded the strategies carried into the final stretch of the Busch Series points race in the All-Pro 300. Also at stake in this event, the richest purse in Grand National history. Number 8, Dale Earnhardt, showed an interest in the money. In fact, he hoarded all of it. In an embarrassing cakewalk, Earnhardt dominated from start to finish, lapping the field at one point and bagging over $64,000, which included all lap leader bonus money. For the first 50 laps, only L.D. Ottinger could stay within a mile of Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip, Davey Allison, Jeff, and Brett Bodine ran a tight formation for third. Awesome Bill Elliott in car 88 added excitement by charging to fifth before he fell out with ignition problems. Of the points contenders, Brett Bodine fared best early on, making it to third before suffering a disastrous pit stop. A faulty air wrench cost him a lap, one he could not regain. Jack Ingram shook loose of Larry Pearson and held down second when he scraped the Charlotte wall. Several unscheduled pit stops sent the Ironman reeling to a 15th place finish. Larry Pearson, for his part, ran a smart race, a clean and consistent race that moved him through the pack. Earnhardt remained uncanny in his ability to run high and low, so that by lap 134 he had run a circle around the entire field. Everyone got a second chance at Earnhardt when Mike Porter, Jimmy Lawson, Haskell Willingham, and Rodney Howard tangled in this fiery crash. Howard in car 24 escaped with minor burns. The restart was a mere formality for Earnhardt, who again ran away unchallenged. Pearson finished third and rides 25 points ahead of Bodine, who finished seventh. Ingram's now slipped to 132 points out of the lead.
Ned, we saw some Winston Cup names that were new to the Busch Grand National Series this year. Bobby Hillin Jr., Bill Elliott. Why is it that some of the Winston Cup guys wanted to get into this race?
I think it's primarily money, Steve. $355,000 purse for a 300-mile race is good. It hasn't been many years ago that the Oakwood Homes 500 didn't pay $350,000, so I think that's the motivator. And we also had 70 cars here trying to get in the 40-car field.
Well, all those things combined together show you just how competitive the Busch Grand National Series has become in recent years.
It certainly does.
It's time now for our mailbox. Our first question today comes from Kevin Troyanowski of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. Ned, Kevin writes, what is the grade and or thickness of the sheet metal on the Winston Cup race cars? Is it all welded together to form a whole car, or can the quarter panels be removed? For that answer, we'll go to Matt Sullivan, who's the body man on Cale Yarborough's new team.
Well, Kevin, the sheet metal thickness is 22 gauge. And what we do is we take the factory quarter panel, we put it on the car, and we line everything up and weld it, see? And then we bubble out the tire, see? For the bow, we add a little piece in there to make that curvature just right, and then you got a perfect job.
Well, Ned, Big Matt's not shy on personality, is he?
No, he certainly isn't. He might ought to be on television instead of being a body man. Our second question today comes from Ron Tashner of Seven Hills, Ohio, who writes, what is the difference between a qualifying engine and a race engine? Do they use different rings and bearings in the qualifying engine? For that answer, we go to Keith Almond, who is the engine builder for Stavola Brothers.
Ron, the biggest difference in parts we use are cylinder heads and camshaft. We use basically the same rings and bearings in a race engine as we do a qualifying engine. We open the ring end gaps up some to compensate for the extra heat you see in a qualifying engine, or basically the difference in the two.
Friends, if your question is used on an upcoming segment of Inside NASCAR, you'll receive this beautiful Timex stopwatch. Timex is the official timekeeper of NASCAR, and this watch is just like the ones the NASCAR teams use. In addition, we'll send you this new 1986 NASCAR yearbook and press guide. 288 colorful pages full of exciting information about NASCAR racing. Write to us today at Inside NASCAR, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224. And thanks again to everyone who writes.
When we come back, we'll have details of how you can enter and maybe you can win that cruise we've been talking about.
And you'll meet Kenny Bernstein. Eddie's a champion drag racer, Winston Cup team owner, and he's been a millionaire businessman as well, so you want to see that.
Stay with us.
Race fans from Whiteland West Travel. Join drivers Neil Bonnet, Kyle Petty, Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, and country music star T.G. Shepard for a week you'll never forget. For more information or to reserve your cabin, call toll-free 1-800-345-0070. Special rates are now available for Inside NASCAR viewers and fans, so call today.
Kenny Bernstein was a champion drag racer for many years. Then he went away from the sport, got into other business for about 6 or 7 years, and then came back and became the champion again. And Steve, that's awfully hard to do. You don't see many athletes that'll leave the sport for that long of a period of time, come back and reestablish themselves as a champion.
And he has truly been a pioneer in the sport. He was the first guy to have a funny car in a wind tunnel. He's done work with computers. He's been successful at just about everything he's ever done. The name on the side of the car is appropriate, for Kenny Bernstein is indeed the king of funny car racing. He's a good bet to wrap up his second consecutive NHRA Winston World Funny Car Championship this weekend in Phoenix.
Thanks again, my man.
Hey, all right.
Good.
Greatest.
Kenny is an absolute master at marketing, talking with the fans, a sponsor's dream. So good, in fact, he has his own motorsports marketing firm. An incredible businessman, he built one restaurant into 21, sold that chain for a small fortune. Now he manages a drag racing team, markets a racing computer, and owns the Quaker State Buick NASCAR team that Joe Ruttman will drive for the remainder of this year. Kenny refuses to take credit for his successes, instead choosing to heap considerable praise on his crew chiefs, Larry McReynolds and Dale Armstrong.
You take my drag racing program, the Budweiser King, with Dale Armstrong, the crew chief. He really takes care of that car and does everything. I don't have to worry about it. I show up and do some racing, and he and I talk 2 or 3 times a week, and basically those are his decisions there. Larry McReynolds in King Racing, which is the NASCAR side. If I didn't have Larry, it couldn't survive because he's like Dale Armstrong. He really runs this show over here. And I get to bounce between all of them and try to help put out the fires wherever it's necessary. But the one key in any business, and it's no different in racing, is people, personnel.
Drag racing is instantaneous speed, 0 to 100 miles an hour in 1 second. A quarter mile in 5.5 seconds. Kenny is the only funny car racer to go over 270 miles an hour. Quite an adjustment for the first-year owner of a Winston Cup team. Races have gone from 5 seconds to 500 miles.
Well, it's real different when I'm standing out watching and we're not running in the lead pack. It's a long day. It's a long afternoon. In fact, I looked up one day at one of our races to Larry, and I said, these races are way too long for me. I said, but when we're up front, it goes fast, as it would, because you're challenging for the lead and you know you have a chance. I mean, you're really into it, and I really get into it, and I'm excited, and it does go quick. But there is a lot of difference. Our preparation in drag racing is a long time to get the car ready and go up, and for 5.5 seconds, 265 miles an hour, it's over with. We come back in another 2 hours to prepare the car, and we go do it again. Here it's just the opposite. There's a lot of time on the track, and the preparation is enormous, but not as much as we do in the engine departments at each racetrack. So it really is two different worlds, but the ups and the downs and the feelings of good times and bad are the same.
The year started disastrously for Kenny's new team. Although Joe Ruttman has been released, team morale has remained high, in large part due to Kenny's understanding of the emotional roller coaster that is racing.
I have good days and bad days in my form of racing, so it's difficult. And when I see the car come in on a hook and in pieces, it affects me because I think, boy, the whole guys now, they've got to work hard to get things ready for the next week. Joe's had a rough day. No different than me blowing an engine up and losing a race. The same thing. I know what it takes to be able to try to win, and the effort that has to be put out by the entire crew and the driver and everything it takes to put it together. I don't expect anything more than what it gives to us on a day-to-day basis. We'll go at it hard and work hard to make it better, but I'm not an owner that has never been in that position of knowing the good side of racing and the bad side. I know those things, and I know when it's a bad day that there will be a better one next week or the week after. Whereas a regular owner that's just a businessman, he gets in this sport, he really doesn't know what to expect. He doesn't understand why you can't win every week. What do you mean we didn't win? Right. We didn't finish the race? How does that happen? Why didn't it take place? Well, I've been there. I know why those things happen, so I think it is a plus.
Despite not winning on the Winston Cup circuit in his first year, Kenny has not lost his perspective or sight of his goals.
We have to build a foundation here with a good crew, a good driver, good equipment, and time. Time is the key. You have to have all the things blend together, and it doesn't happen overnight. And I have to keep telling myself that from time to time because I do believe that, and I know it's the truth. And I think it'll happen. I think next year we'll even be better, and the year after we should be even better than that. And you'll improve. The question is, how fast can you improve? We all want to improve very quickly. We want to get to that winner's circle fast, and I'm no different than anybody else. I wish it had happened at Richmond. It would have been great. It didn't, but it'll happen somewhere down the line. The thing is to keep improving, keep going in the right direction. Go to the next level that it's going to take to put you in the winner's circle, whether it be more money needed to be spent in engine development, more money needs to be spent in chassis development, whatever it may be, those are the keys that you have to do first.
And Ned, I won't be surprised at all to see Kenny Bernstein in IndyCar racing in the not-too-distant future.
And I'll bet you he'll have a good team if he does.
We want to give you the details now on how you can win that great Caribbean cruise. All you have to do is be 18 years of age, send us a postcard with your name, address, and a story idea you'd like to see here on Inside NASCAR.
And send it to Caribbean 500, Post Office Box 240-417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224.
We'll make a random drawing the weekend of November 8th. We're going to push it up a week to give you more of a chance to send in your entries. And we have a great second and third prize as well, Ned, a pair of tickets to anywhere Piedmont Airlines flies, and that's round trip.
Okay, so get those entries in. When we come back, we'll have highlights of the Oakwood Homes 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. You stay with us.
We had to get another streak cranked up, and we started here in Charlotte. We ended our last one here in Charlotte. We started one here in Charlotte. We're going on out through this end of the season with a good win.
Well, Steve, as we near the end of the season, every race is so important as far as those Winston Cup points are concerned.
And we've only got a few races left. And you know, the race here at Charlotte, it's a track that Tim Richmond, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip have all had success on in the past.
And they all had their day in the sun in the Oakwood Home 500. Mark Allen has the highlights.
Dale Earnhardt ended his perfect weekend the same way he started it, by winning another rich Charlotte event, his first Winston Cup triumph since May.
We had to get another streak cranked up. and we just started here in Charlotte. We ended our last one here at Charlotte. We started one here at Charlotte. We're going on out through this end of the season with a good win, a couple wins.
The driving points leader padded his championship edge over Darrell Waltrip and Tim Richmond, but for a while it appeared Earnhardt would be the one to yield ground to his pursuers when tire trouble shoved him 2 laps down. A pedal-to-the-metal charge and 2 accidents put Earnhardt back among the leaders. The first pivotal mishap on lap 85 when number 75 Morgan Shepherd and another car touched. The multi-car mayhem didn't look too serious from the main grandstand, but involved 8 cars with defending race champ Cale Yarborough, A.J. Foyt, Chet Phillip, and Richard Petty erased. Phillip was hospitalized with a broken kneecap. Joe Ruttman and other casualties of the race car variety underwent facelifts before continuing. The second key caution came before mid-race when Bill Elliott and Bobby Hillen Jr. tangled. Hillen was scraped off the wall and eventually sent back out. Beyond halfway, fans thrilled to 15 straight laps of door-to-door warfare for the lead between Earnhardt and Richmond. Though the Folgers driver slowly built up a comfortable lead, his motor rebelled from the torture of running out front. His 27th place finish effectively ended his championship hopes. That left teammate Jeff Bodine to carry on the challenge until his last stop when the 64 car of Connie Saylor cut him off from his pit, forcing another stop which cost him a lap. The baton was then handed to 33 Harry Gant, but the closest he could get to the number 3 Chevy was 10 car lengths before Earnhardt slammed the door shut to win by 2 seconds. With Waltrip's 9th place finish and Richmond's early retirement, all Earnhardt has to do is finish 10th or better in the final 3 events, and he's automatically national champion. In true Earnhardt form, it's still full speed ahead.
You can't bank on it until that last race is over. And we go into Rockingham with a positive attitude and work hard, try to win that race too, and, you know, them points will come.
Well, Steve, it was interesting to see the various lines that the drivers took. Some were running right up next to the wall, and occasionally some would run down low on the racetrack, but they have to do that. The pavement is worn out here. It gets awfully slick, but it makes it awfully exciting for the fans.
It sure does, and not only was the racing action interesting, some news items came out of here this week as well.
We told you a couple of weeks ago that Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and several Winston Cup team representatives had asked NASCAR to reduce the weight of the race cars 200 pounds from the current 3,700 pounds to 3,500. At a meeting with crew chiefs in Charlotte, NASCAR told them the weight would be reduced 200 pounds in 1987. The crew chiefs were also told the tentative schedule for 1987 calls for the same 29 race schedule as 1986, with some shuffling around of dates primarily due to the Winston returning to Charlotte the weekend before the Coca-Cola 600. Sterling Marlin seems to have gotten himself in a bit of a bind. He has signed long-term contracts with 2 different teams on the Winston Cup circuit. Earlier this year, he signed a 3-year deal to drive the Hoss Ellington car number 1 with Bullseye Barbecue Sauce as the sponsor. Then last month, he signed a deal with Wayne King and the Piedmont Airlines team. At Charlotte, they tried to work it out, but apparently couldn't come to terms. Marlin supposedly told Ellington he will stick with the contract he has with him if he could get out of the King deal. It might wind up in court. Rookie driver Chet Phillip, who was injured in a multi-car wreck on the backstretch during the Oakwood Homes 500, underwent knee surgery on Monday after the race. He will be out for the balance of the season. He says his crew is already working towards 1987. Our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Want to invite you to be with us here next week when we'll have a story on rough driving in racing. And Steve, we've seen a little bit of that this year.
And that's a tough call. Somebody might call it aggressive, somebody calls it rough driving. It is a fine line.
It sure is.
We also need to mention, by the way, that not everyone will be lucky enough to win our Caribbean Cruise for 2, but you can purchase tickets, and we'd recommend it because it is a blast.
You'll be able to hobnob with some of the drivers that will be going on the cruise. Steve, I wish we would have had one of these pace errors by Fleetwood when I was driving a race car. It certainly would have made it a lot more comfortable, and our thanks to them for providing it for us. We'll have the latest news next week and the mailbox and more, so you be with us right here.
The following companies have paid a promotional fee to Inside NASCAR. Byrnes-O-Matic, makers of the Auto Byrnes. Lights instantly without matches or sparkers. Ideal for hundreds of home and auto repair jobs. The Pit Golf Links, one of the nation's most unique championship golf courses. Survive the challenge of the pit if you can. The newest addition to the Pinehurst tradition. The Pit, Pinehurst, North Carolina. Inside NASCAR's Mobile Hospitality Suite. This luxurious 35-foot 1987 Pace Aero motorhome. Provided by Fleetwood Enterprises of Riverside, California. Ground transportation for Inside NASCAR is provided by Choo Choo Custom Vans, Chattanooga, Tennessee, specializing in Chevrolet, vans, pickups, Blazers, and Astros. Inside NASCAR's high-performance camera car. This turbocharged